Hey guys, what's going on? So since Tower of Chaos just reset, we're gonna go over that, but we are skipping floors 1 through 30, because no offense, but if you're having trouble before floor 30, then you're probably not ready for floor 50 yet, obviously. So we've made it to floor 30. I'm just going to go over some general advice here. First of all, you can check what the boss does by clicking on them. If you're familiar with the units, because all the boss floors have a unit that's actually in the game. Moonflower, for example, will just do more damage when she criticals, so if the boss has a lot of critical hit rate, which it might, it'll just be doing a lot of damage and that's it. Unfortunately, on boss waves, you can't see the little enemies or the waves beforehand, so you won't really know what to expect then. But the only thing to do really is to go in and see what's going on. So it looks like we have dark and light units. Now, I remember on one of these levels, it may have been this one, I think these are Yukis, and Yukis get their actives every single turn and they can stun you or petrify you or something, so you want to try and take care of those first. Of course, it may be a little bit harder for you than it is for me since I have very strong units, but those should be your main priority. I'm going to intentionally avoid them just so you can see what is going on with them. So I've killed all but the Yuki. Yeah, and as you can see on the very first turn, she has her thing and then petrified. Everyone petrified except for my nightmare. So it has a very high chance apparently to petrify, and watch, it'll keep doing it. It can do it every single turn, so you gotta make totally sure you're killing them first, unless you have very high resist. That's the dark one anyway. I believe the light one also has CC, but we're gonna make sure and check that out. Apparently not a very high chance because no one got CC'd or anything. We'll check that out next time. Alright, well, we're already at the boss. You can also see its skills up here. I'm pretty sure all the bosses can be stunned, can be taunted, can be all the things a lot of the other bosses can't, like the golems or the Starstone Guardian guys, and that's especially important on floor 50 of Chaos Tower. We're gonna try and see again what this light Yuki is doing. Let's see. Okay, so the light Yuki shocks, but probably not for a very high chance because only one got shocked and none got shocked the first time. So definitely try and take care of the dark ones first and then the light ones. We're gonna go ahead and kill the boss now. Or try to, yeah, okay. And I'll be back for the level 35 boss. Zip, zop, zippity, bop. Alright, we've made it to floor 35 now. We have a light Wildfang or Finrare here as our boss. She has defense break and shock. I'm not sure if the boss is actually a 4-star and doesn't have access to shock, but at least it has defense down, which is a very dangerous debuff. Basically, for all floors of Tower of Chaos, I recommend going as high DPS as you can, while taking care of the elemental advantages and disadvantages. Like here we have a light type, so there aren't really any advantages or disadvantages because a dark type has both. So it's a little bit risky to go with dark types if your units aren't very strong, but they will be doing more damage. So we're gonna go with this team and just check out what's going on. So I'm not familiar with every single unit and its abilities yet. For example, the Jeans or Johns or whatever the hell they're called. I don't really know what they're doing, so I can't really say who you should be focusing on first, but it looks like they're going to be all three different elements. At least I'm seeing water and wood. Maybe we just haven't seen the fire one yet. But as far as I've seen, there are only water and wood. So it might be best to go with a more wood-focused team, since the boss is a light type and that element won't really matter. On a boss like this, I'd probably go straight for the boss if you have enough DPS, because it does have very dangerous skills there, defense down and shock. If you are a more defensive team, you may want to kill the side minions first. But in my case, I have enough DPS to kill her quickly, so that's what I did. We're gonna go ahead and skip 36 through 39, but 40 through 50 I'll go over individually. Hey guys, how's it going? Alright, so we've made it to floor 40 now. The boss here is a Pebble. This is actually not the same as it was a while ago, since Pebble was a new unit. He has stun and taunt, but he is very tanky. If I remember right, all the units leading up to him are water type, so even though it would make sense to go with a mostly water team, that may not even get you to the boss because the minions before him are going to be very tough, but we're gonna see that in a second. I'm gonna take a water with me anyway because I have 3 other guys to back me up. Ladies, whatever. So actually going with a full water team actually would be fine. you won't have, or it might be a mix of both. I don't know. This is just the first wave, so we'll need to wait. Second wave is all water as well. Third wave too. So just a bunch of these birds. I guess it doesn't really matter which ones you're gonna kill first because they're all the same. So it seems like going with a full water team would be actually okay. With someone like Granitus, I actually would recommend getting rid of the side minions first, because he is a tank or a defender or whatever. The point is he's not going to be doing that much damage as far as I know. He's just going to be stunning and taunting, so he'll be annoying, but the side minions can probably do more damage than he can. Alright, so that wraps that up. We're moving on to floor 41 now. Ooh, Astrogems. I know on my first time around, I was stuck on floor like 44 forever. But anyway, this is a tri-team, so obviously basically just take your strongest units. Not really dangerous skills there or there. This one has Petrification, so you may want to focus on the wood ones first, because those can be a bit more annoying than the other two. That being said, I'll get my Wild Fang in there instead of the Valk. But thankfully, these guys don't get their active skill in one turn. It takes them, it looks like 3 turns to get their active, so it's not really too much to worry about, as long as you can kill the wood ones, because the wood ones are going to be the ones that are going to be petrifying you, maybe. So yeah, done with this floor, let's move on to the next. So another tri-element team, just bring your strongest. These guys are very annoying though, because they're all healers, and if I'm not mistaken, these guys also get their active skill very quickly, maybe not in one turn. We're gonna see that. The most dangerous here is probably the fire one with its defense break, followed by the wood one with its attack break. Water ones aren't too much to be feared. I'm going to get my Water Valk instead of the Wild Fang for the fire ones. Could be any water type. No, thankfully these are normal, active skill filling, about 3 turns, so they honestly shouldn't be too hard to deal with. Just focus fire them like you normally would. I'm just leaving these guys on auto because I know my team is strong enough to take care of them. Alright, moving on to floor 43 now. The Beth Squad. You are wrecked. All Beths have the same skills, they just deal more damage to their opposite element, as you can see here. So there isn't really any priority on any specific Beth since they're all the same. Just be careful with bringing the certain elements in there, actually any element besides light and dark, because they will do a lot more damage to them. Besides that, fire is probably most dangerous because it is a balance type, whereas the other two are tanks and they shouldn't be dealing as much damage. Plus the fire one is easiest to kill because it won't have as much HP. So with that being said, I'm keeping my Valk in there and we're gonna go ahead and go. But as long as you try and not let them get their active skills, I know that's easier said than done, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. As you can see, this wood one just attacked me, took a decent chunk off when you consider this is a Nat 5 Evo 2 level 60 with pretty decent gems on. So I can imagine with a weaker unit, especially if it gets its active skill off, it's going to deal a lot of damage. Alright, moving on to floor 44. Now this is the one that I got stuck on for a very long time. I believe these are the light and dark Leos. Yes, they are. These guys are freaking hard. They hit crazy hard because they're both attacker types, as you can see here, attacker and attacker. The dark one lowers your attack power, so it's harder to kill them. And the light one has AoE stun, as well as recharging its own AoE stun faster, so they're very dangerous. The light ones probably are more dangerous in the long run, but the dark ones can lower your attack straight away with their normal skill. I'm gonna go ahead and take my Nike here to make it a half light, half dark team like they are. And we're just gonna see what the setup is. If there's like only one dark, then I'll probably try and kill that first. Oops, I'm on auto battle. I mean, it shouldn't be a problem anyway, but when there's one dark, I'll probably try and kill that to avoid an attack down. But if there's multiple darks, I'd probably go for the light, just to make sure that they don't get their AoE off. So here are 4 lights here. I mean, obviously I can take care of them rather easily, but the lights definitely are more dangerous if they get their active. So unless you can kill multiple in one turn, you probably want to go for the lights first and just take the attack down. That was definitely a lot easier than the first time. Let's go ahead and move on to the boss, the second to last boss on floor 45. This is a light Banshee, balance type, shock on its first skill, sap on its second. The shock is very annoying, but at least it's not AoE shock, and apparently it only has 50% chance. I'm not sure if the boss will actually have 50% chance, but let's go ahead and check it out. I'm sticking with the same mix light dark team because I've forgotten what the elements are, but we'll see that in a second. Ah, now I remember the Monas. So I'm just gonna auto, but you should definitely try and get rid of the water Mona first, because the water Mona has not only, I believe, is an attacker and it can deal a lot more damage, and it's also easily killable, but it also defends downs with AoE. So the water Mona should definitely be your first priority here, followed by the fire and then the wood. The wood is the least dangerous because it just heals itself and it doesn't do much damage, so definitely focus on the others first. So I know the light Banshee has a lot of health, so I'd probably recommend going after the Monas first, at least if there's a water one there or a fire one. Maybe you can ignore the wood one, but it might come back to bite you since it can taunt and draw you away from the boss anyway, so you may just want to kill it just to get it out of the way. Shock is very annoying. The saps are also annoying, but not that dangerous if you have a healer with you. I don't, because I know I don't need it, but you should always take healers with you into tougher content, unless you're bringing a very, very high DPS team, which can deal with the boss very, very quickly. Moving on to floor 46, again, this one is a very tough one with the Wild Fangs here. Defends down, so the light one is definitely the most dangerous, and then it has AoE shock. You definitely want to try and get rid of the light ones first. The dark ones aren't too dangerous. They will do quite a bit of damage since they will be criticling a lot with their 3 and 5 star skill, but they won't be defense downing or shocking. So I'd recommend definitely trying to get rid of any light ones on the map first. Because the thing with defense down is if one of your units gets defense downed, every enemy will focus fire that defense downed unit and it will probably die. Because not only is everyone focus firing it, but it also has lower defense. That's why I think defense down is probably the most dangerous debuff a unit can give you because of the focus fire mainly. We're on floor 47 and it's the same story with these bees. They also have def down, so I'd recommend going for them first. These guys aren't so dangerous, a little bit of sap and they're tanks, so they won't be dealing too much damage. Alright, moving on to floor 48 now. Full fire team, so obviously try and take water units with you. I'd recommend trying to get rid of this guy first as he does have def down. The horse is pretty strong as it is an attacker, but still defense down is always very dangerous. Alright, moving on to floor 49 now, the level before the boss. So this is a mix of water and wood, so going a mostly wood team would be fine. None of these guys are honestly too dangerous, but the most dangerous is probably this water Lantra here as he is an attacker and he will be doing even more damage because of his critical hit rate boost. I've personally decided to take my Wild Fang, even though she might die, just to get rid of the grass ones faster because I don't really have any good wood Astromons. Alright, so we have made it to floor 50. Now, before we start, I have to explain a few things. Firstly, this is the first time I'm going with a full DPS team. That's what I've decided to do. It's really recommended that you take at least 1 or 2 Astromons that have a high chance at CC, and by that I mean stun, petrify, shock, taunt, anything that prevents them from doing their active skill. And that's important at the boss and before the boss as well, because the mini cats there, some of them give shields, but all of them have an active skill every single turn, and they'll heal themselves every single turn unless you can kill them. So if you don't have enough DPS to one turn one of the mini cats every turn, then you should bring some AoE CC, such as Fire C-Star with her 80% AoE stun, Pebble with his 80% taunt, and you may also want to try and bring an Astromon which has a high chance on its 3-star skill for the boss. Pebble has a decent chance at 60%, may not be enough unless you have a lot of damage. So this is the team I'm gonna try with. No one here has any CC whatsoever except Nightmare with Thirst. And, well, Thirst would help for the minions. I'm not sure if the boss can be affected by it, Cupid here. But yeah, let's go into it, and I'll commentate while we're in there. Okay, first of all, you shouldn't be on auto, because you can see that this happens now. They all have a shield, they all got their active skill in the very first turn, and they are all at full health. So if you are going full DPS, which probably won't work unless you have very strong Astromons, what you should do is target them one by one. I'm not even totally sure. Okay, so I do have enough damage to kill one in one turn, thankfully. And since I have a Nightmare that can defense down, that's probably what I want to do first. And then focus fire them one after that. I probably can't kill one with just these two. But if you're going with the traditional CC team, like with stun and stuff, you should try and get all their actives off, or at least the actives that have AoE CC, like stun, petrified, and whatnot, and then try and pick them off like that. I found the waves before the boss to be actually harder than the boss itself. For the boss itself, you just need one high stunner if you have a lot of damage as well. I'm just gonna go ahead and see if I can auto this here. Just so you guys know, you can get them down to about 60% HP before they activate their shield. As you can see, just damaging them won't do anything. I'm not sure if I can not damage anyone else enough not to activate it, it, but I'm just gonna maybe try and kill this one so they have nothing to heal. But this one is about at, I don't know, 70% HP or so, and as you can see, they simply attacked me and did not heal with their actives. So if you don't have enough DPS to one-shot them, you can also get them down to a low amount of HP and then focus fire them next turn. But at about this amount of HP, if you could see that, then they do heal. So if you can get through the waves without any CC, then you'll just need 1 CC for the boss, unless you can one-turn the boss, which I'm hoping I can do. Or at least one-turn it when it's at about 60% of its HP. You obviously want to try and kill the cats first because they're going to keep healing the boss. Okay, so after you kill those, it's just the boss left, and this is kind of the hardest part because if you can't get a chain of stuns and such on him, he'll keep healing himself every single turn and giving himself a shield. So unless you can kill him in one turn, or one turn from about 60% HP, you'll need to bring along at least one unit with a high chance at stun. So if you need 2 or 3 turns or 4 turns, RNG will eventually work in your favor and you can kill it. But we're just going to go ahead and try. We're going to try defense downing it. Unfortunately, it didn't work. We're going to go ahead and use all the actives and see if it's enough. It's not enough. With defense down, it might work, but as you can see here, he's going to heal himself, not completely full, so I probably can do it if I can land defense down, and once these guys get all their actives back. Alright, so he has defense down now, hoping I can kill him now with just this team. Okay, so that worked. Obviously, if you can't do that, if your units aren't strong enough, if you don't have the correct DPS units, you will need someone that can stun, taunt, anything basically to keep him from using his active skill. And we got our Gleam, yay, we can get our Cupid up to Evo 2 now, quite nice. I know I probably should have gone with a recommended team of stunners and such to better show what I was talking about, but I really did want to try just brute forcing it, just DPSing through it, just to see if it was reasonably doable. Let's go ahead and Evo 2 our Cupid real quick, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the video. Alright, there he is, quite nice, quite nice. But regardless, I hope it was helpful. If you still have questions, just drop down a comment below and I'll try and answer it, get back to you as soon as I can, or someone else from the community, maybe more experienced than I am, can help you as well. But that will do it for today. I hope you enjoyed. If so, make sure to drop a like down below. I would really appreciate it. Thanks as always for watching, and until next time.